We also brought friends from here in Sweden, Aramaic friends here in Sweden. I think they should get the hand as well. I think we have a lot in common. And that reminds me, even though it's not the same, but when we had this manifestation at Norrmalmstorg on October 7th, as in all these, when we have these events, you will always see ex-Iranians or Persians with the old Persian flags. Always. They are the first to be there, and they stand there proudly waving their flags. We have a lot in common. We should cooperate more, I think. So I'm very happy that you're here. Very happy about that. Okay, so now I will give the floor to Donna. Please say a few words from the embassy. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me here tonight. I think what MIFF, the organization, stands for is creating conversation that is complex, that is diverse. And I think this event tonight is a representation of that mission. I do want to share something that I just shared with Shadi, and that he also showed me, that is actually written on text from the 40s and is a prominent idea in every Aramaic's heart, and I believe that also in the Israeli heart. Every time I met really randomly here someone that identified as Aramaic, and even before I know that, usually they ask me, "Oh, where are you from?" And I say, sometimes with a bit of cautious, because I've been told to be cautious about it, that I'm Israeli. And then they say, "Oh, I'm Aramaic. We have the same fathers. We have the same language. We are like brothers." And it happened to me more than once, so that's why I say that. And that's also what Shadi showed me, that is written on this manifest from 1942, and truly something that is in the heart of everyone that identify themselves as Aramaic, because the language is something that is so in the base of the root of every person's identity. But I think that when we recognize what is in common and not what is differentiating between us, this is where we truly are the essence of a diverse society, as one society that understands that there are differences, but we choose to look at what is in common, the roots of our identity. So with that, that is a piece in my heart that now I know is just not just random. It's actually in that kind of concept and that identity. I'm so honored to listen to your lecture, and I'm so honored to be invited here, and I'm very proud that these type of events are happening and we are able to create those conversations. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, good evening. So my name is Shadi Khalloul, and I'm Israeli, Christian, Aramaic citizen. I belong to the Syriac Aramaic Maronite Church of Antioch, and we're gonna talk this evening about exactly what are the Aramaean people, not Armenian, don't confuse yourself. Armenian and Aramaean are different. So we are Aramaeans, and this nation has different churches. One of them is Syriac Maronite Church, one of them is Syriac Orthodox Church. What we see our people here belong to the Syriac Orthodox Church of Antioch, and we are all Syriac Maronites and Syriac Orthodox are one people, one nation called Aramaeans, and the Jews that we know today, Israelites, were of origins of Aramaeans. So that's why we say we share the same common roots and same fathers and mothers and ancestors and language, which Jesus spoke it too. And Jesus wasn't a Palestinian, wasn't an Arab, he was a Jewish Israelite who developed from it what we call Christianity today. So that's how we connected all together as Jews and Christians in the land, and also here in Sweden and other places as with the same common Judeo-Christian values. So, saying that, I would just a little bit introduction, who am I, before I go further. I grew up in Upper Galilee in Israel, born in a village called Gush Chalav, Jish. It's a mixed town village between majority of it is Christians and 40% today are Muslim Arabs. The Christians, what we call a majority of those Christians are Christian Maronites or Aramaic Syriac Maronites, and we belong, as I said, to the Aramean people. And in 2014, we actually achieved, finally, as I showed Dana now, the big achievement, historical one, after 65 years, in 2014, the recognition of Aramaic people, Aramean identity, national identity in Israel. And that was a huge achievement for our NGO, for the Israeli Christian Aramaic NGO, that I founded back in 2007. And I will tell you how I found that too, and what brought me back to Israel to found this NGO. From Las Vegas, Nevada, the Sin City of Las Vegas, ended up in Israel. So I grew up in Jish. I ended up in Haifa, studying in Haifa. Finishing that, I joined the IDF. I was paratrooper officer in the IDF. And finished in 1997, end of 1997. And then I decided, after 2 years and traveling the world like every Israeli after military service, want to see the world, want to relax a little bit, calm down from the stress. And I worked for 2 years in Intel Electronics in Kiryat Gat. And after that, I decided to follow my Jewish friend. His name was Dutan, who finished his service before and ended up in Las Vegas studying international business and finance. I ended up studying business and finance in Las Vegas, Nevada, following him that he was before studying civil engineer. So I studied that, and during my studies, I was actually thinking about my American dream, because that's what they teach you as business administration classes, how to be rich, how to build your American dream, a successful manager, and that's my mind. In the last semester, I need to choose English, upper English class, and it was either I take Shakespeare as English literature or Bible as English literature. And as a person who is believer, coming from the land of the Bible, I grew up in Protestant school, studying in Protestant school in Haifa. So we read the Bible, we go to the church every morning and pray in the church 15 minutes before starting our day. So I said, the Bible is easy, I will take it for credit, it's easy. Shakespeare, it's not my, expertise. So I took it for just credit. And during this class, the students, one of the ladies was reading a verse from the Bible, the New Testament, called when Jesus made a miracle and said, Talitha Kumi, like little lady arise. And the instructor, who was a Catholic professor, he said, stop, this is not English. We are dealing with English class. This is Aramaic, and it kept in the original language as it was spoken by Jesus, and he was Jewish, and the Jewish people spoke this language, and unfortunately it died. I said, immediately raised my hand and said, excuse me, instructor, the language didn't die. We still speak the language. We still pray in this language. It's the language of the church and our forefathers, and some people still speak it until today. He said, sorry, we don't know about you. Prepare presentation next week. So I said, what presentation now I need to prepare? I want this easy class to go. So I ended up, asking my brother, Amir, send me material. I want to read. I want to deepen my knowledge so I can prepare a presentation. So that's what happened. I deepened my knowledge. I read about our identity. That was opportunity for me to go deeper and dig deeper in the history of our people, how we connected to Jews, how we are called Arameans. And I came back to the classroom a week after, and I told them the story, and 30 minutes, and after that I told them the Lord's Prayer in Aramaic language, and all of a sudden I saw tears in American students asking me how we can help your people, how we can help your language and save it, not allowing it to die, how we can help you. I said, wait, what help me? I'm coming to build my American dream in Las Vegas. I'm not back in Israel. So, and I saw like something's wrong here. I mean, my people, why they didn't expose this to the world before? Why I should now go back to Israel and help my people? Where my forefathers fall, how they failed to do that before? What's wrong? Why people don't know about us? So it raised so many issues. One of this experience, in the Sin City of Las Vegas, I ended up having Bible course, and God opened my eyes for my history, for what we are, and knowing that Americans don't know about us, so if Americans don't know, also other people don't know, and that I have a mission now to do. Maybe it's not the American dream, but the Aramaic dream. And they are pushing me back home. So after finishing my studies, 2-3 months, I decided to go back to Israel and founded the NGO that I am leading today. And it is called the Israeli Christian Aramaic NGO.
Wow.
And this organization has 2 goals. One is preserving and reviving Aramaic identity and language among Christians in Israel and Middle East, and raising awareness for it in the world. And second is to integrate our people within the state of Israel and defend the state of Israel that we belong to. Because we are same people. And I don't want to defend it as a mercenary, but as a people that belong to this land and this state, because we and the Jews are one. And when we pray or when we sing the hymn of Israel, the national hymn, and we sing about 2,000 years of history, it includes us. Our Jesus Christ started 2,000 years ago, and that's also belong to us. Easily it could belong to us. And so for me, when I defend Israel, I defend it because I believe in it, and not because I only think that I should do it for interests as Israeli citizen. So, and then I will tell you in this lecture why I defend Israel too, as a minority of Christian in Israel. Why Israel is important to me, and how it is important to me, not only based on ideological or religious affiliation or connection, but also for practical issues. If I live safely in a country and secure in a country and respected in the country and recognized in the country, of course I want to defend this country. And if this country oppresses me, I don't want to work for this country. So that's why the Christians in Iraq and Syria and Lebanon today, they don't feel anymore belong to those countries. because those countries oppressed them. And in Israel, at least I am recognized, and I showed Dana now in 2014 how we were registered Arameans in the National Registry Form, which I have it here in my bag. And I will show it, maybe I will show it to you here, because it's in Hebrew, you wouldn't understand it, but Dana read it. So, this is something that we achieved by the NGO. And for this mission of integrating our people, we built a program for Christian and Jewish youth that is running since 2017 for 7 months. Every year we recruit 20 to 30 youth, Christian, about 25, and Jews about 25, so total 50. They work together 7 months, learn together, and study together, and volunteer together, and hike together, and eat together, and sleep in the same complex for 7 months. And these are the future leaders of our society that will build a model for coexistence and understanding and defense together of our country. And this model, actually, if this is successful, and it will be successful because there's no reason not to be successful, it will be a model for others to copy. We will be the model and agents of peace for other Arabs maybe, and other people who for no reason think Israel is an enemy. Maybe they will change their minds and say, look, if these guys did it in a positive Christian engagement model, why we should fight? Why we should send our people in a violent way and for hatred, which will bring to only death? We should duplicate this model and achieve things together. So I will be happy if this will happen for other communities too. But first, let's focus on ours. That's the most important now. It has continuity in the future. And another thing, after the recognition, you think it's a symbolic recognition in 2014 for Aramaic people, but it's not symbolic. Based on this recognition of national identity, because national identity has elements of it. You have a flag, you have language, you have needs. One of it, maybe you want to have a community or to build a town for you in Israel. Like, you know, the Israeli system is very unique. And also it's like in the Middle East. In the Middle East, you will find maybe Christian towns, Muslim towns, Druze towns, Circassian towns, and other type of ethnicities towns where they preserve, and Israel is the same thing. And we, after being recognized as Aramaic now people, we are working to build Aramaic town so we can preserve the language and identity. And I can tell you a secret. I got the green light from the Prime Minister of Israel to go ahead and do it. And now I'm working on it. Dana doesn't know yet, but I'm sure in the future you will hear about it and it will be big in the news. It will be big in the news in Israel and in the world, because really it is something that never happened before in Israel. So, I can tell you that this is in short what I belong to, what we are. But before we go deep, because many people, as I told Ulf today, he said, if I don't know, many people don't know about this too. So he asked me a question, what's the difference between the different names? So now I will make for you, make it clear. Let's first of all go to the beginning. Before it was called Jews, before it was called Syriacs, before it was called the Christians, who we are. So what is Aramean? We know about Aram, the son of Shem, the son of Noah. From Aram we have Arameans, and Arameans has Aramaic language. And they have Aramaic kingdoms. It's a Semitic people that has Aramaic kingdoms spread all over the Middle East of today, from Iraq all the way to the Mediterranean. In the Bible, it is mentioned Aram Damascus, what we call it Damascus today, it was Aramaic kingdom. We know Aram Tsova, which is the Bekaa Valley of Lebanon, up all the way to Aleppo and Hama. We know about Aram Naharaim kingdom, which is the border between the Iraq and Syria, or the land between the two rivers, the kingdom between the two rivers, which is the Euphrates and the Tigris. So these kingdoms existed, and there's other kingdoms too. But Abraham or Avraham, he came from Aram Naharaim, from Ur. And he was of Aramaic roots. So Abraham left this land to what we call the land of Canaan. That was the promised land. And that's where he ended up there. And in the Bible, it's mentioned, a wandering Aramean, my father was, went down to Egypt and became to a great and powerful nation. So the Jews recite this every Pesach or every Passover time. They still until today mention this. So that's Abraham, a wandering Aramean. Now, from Abraham we have Isaac. Isaac, the son of Abraham, they wanted him to be married. What they did for getting him married, they sent Eliezer to Aram, to the people. It's mentioned, they sent Eliezer, the servant of Abraham, to find him a wife in Aram, from the Arameans, not from the Canaanites here, but from his people, the Arameans. So he got married to Rebekah. Rebekah is the sister of Lavan, or Laban the Aramean in the Bible. And Laban the Aramean, he is also the father of Leah and Rachel. Leah and Rachel are the wives of Jacob, Israel. From them we have the 12 sons and 12 tribes of Israel that we call the Israelites. So the Israelites that we know of Aramean origins, from mothers and fathers. And that's a connection with Arameans, that some of them, like Lavan or Laban, or stayed pagan and didn't follow the faith of one God as Abraham started that, and kept being pagans in the land of what we call Aram, and today it's called Syria and Lebanon and the region there of the Middle East. And these people followed Jesus Christ, the Messiah, that believed as Yeshua as the Messiah, and being called in Aramaic Messianics. That's how we also connected again with the Jews after leaving ourselves or each other's for a period of time. Sometimes we had wars between the kingdom of Judah and the kingdom of Aram, and sometimes we have alliances, specifically against the Assyrians. Okay? So the Jews developed from Judah tribe after the exile. That's where they got the name Judah, or Jews, the kingdom of Judah. And those who returned from exile after the Assyrians took the Jews in exile, returned to the land and being called Jews. And under Persian Empire, this actually district was called Yahad. Why Yahad? Because these people who lived were called Jews, so they called this district Yahad. And it exists until today in the Israeli shekel. In the Israeli shekel, they found a coin from the era of the Persian Empire that is written in a Proto-Canaanite script with the called Yahad, means the area of where the Jews live. Okay? And these people today deny that Israel should exist. So, that's the connection. So, we are called Arameans, and those Arameans during Christianity, the first Christianity, they were even a little bit before or after, during the Greek time, they were called also Syrians or Syriacs afterward. The church is called Syriac, the language is Syriac, but this Syriac is Aramaic, not Assyrian. And people confuse between us, it's close, Assyrian, Syriac, But when you know that Syriac is Aramaic and the Syrians are Arameans, you know to differentiate with Assyrians who were living more in the region of Nineveh and north of Iraq, the mountains of North Iraq. That was the kingdom of what they called the Assyrians before. So, okay, but don't confuse things, because you need to understand some people also have or carry name Assyrians, and that's okay, that's their nationality. Sometimes they belong to the same church and there is a lot of confusion, but we in our region, in Israel, in Lebanon, in West Syria, and many of the areas, we call ourselves Arameans, Syriacs. And that's why Habib here is the head of the WCA in Sweden, the federation, which is called World Council of Arameans, Syriacs. Okay? By the way, I want to thank you, Dana, for coming here. I want to thank you, Habib. I want to thank all of you for coming, and the head of the Aramaic Democratic Organization, Gabi Gallo, and we have here an important person also called Samir. He's building the first Aramaic school in Sweden for our people to preserve at least the language, besides having a Swedish system, also where they can teach and preserve the language before it dies. After a long time, he put a lot of money and efforts, maybe I don't want to say $10 million, but putting a lot of money to have this school for our children, at least preserve it for the future generations. So MIFF, what can I say? I mean, you're doing great work here in Sweden, and the members here that are very committed to you. I really respect every one of you that coming to hear us, and I will continue by saying that I was in Sweden, also in Norway, and I had two presentations. One of them is talking about the community who are the Aramaic people and why we defend or why we support Israel. And second is about the threat of Islamic Brotherhood movement and Iran, which is one is Sunni, one is Shia, radical group or side, for the Christian and Jews and atheists as well in the Western world and in the Middle East. So I will combine both now in one presentation.
Can we ask something before I continue?
Before you want to ask? Okay.
So the language that you speak, is that the language in our marriage?
The Ketubah.
Yes.
The Ketubah is in Aramaic, and the dialect you speak of Talmudic Babylonian Talmud. We speak of Western Jerusalem Talmud. It's more close to Jerusalem Talmud that mixed with Hebrew. But we understand it. And we understand the Gemara.
It's good that you
I can tell you what is written in your Ketubah, and maybe they do it purposely. They do the Ketubah when Jews get married, by the way. They write their agreement in Aramaic. You know why? Because they don't want them to understand what they signed. Otherwise, they will not get married. Anyway, this is just a joke, huh? But they do it in Aramaic, and also the Kaddish is in Aramaic. When a person also die, God forbid. But it's also in Aramaic, the prayers there. And many of the Jewish prayers still in Aramaic, like we are using it in our daily language as well, and in our daily prayers. So, yes, so after knowing who are Arameans and Aramaic people, I will tell you that we suffered for 2,000 years in this Middle East, but we kept our faith and we kept our language. We faced from genocide, from rising of Islamic conquest. The Islamic conquest in the 7th century changed the entire Middle East. The Middle East was majority of it Aramaic speaking until 7th century. And it was based on Christianity as a majority and Jews who still speak Aramaic language. And this Arabic Islamic conquest started in Arabia. Where is Arabia? Is the Arab Peninsula. The Arab Peninsula, where Islam started, wage wars. It started by occupying Iraq 636, occupying Damascus in 637, and occupying Jerusalem in 638. And from there they continued to North Africa, to Spain, Andalusia, creating for 700 years Islamic state in Andalusia too. And this spread from Arabia, imposing only religion that should be the religion of the state, Islam, with a language that should be and must be Arabic. This is called, my friends, colonialism. That's colonialism, not the opposite. Israel didn't create a country and go and spread, you must speak Hebrew and you must be Jewish. They built, based on Zionism, a country for their own people in their forefathers' land. Same as we requested before in 1942 a country for our own people in Mount Lebanon and in Lebanon. We didn't spread to impose our Aramaic language and Christian faith on other Arab Muslims. We want only a tiny place for us to live peacefully and to enjoy our culture and language and faith and live in peace and coexistence and in peace between Lebanon and Israel. That's what we wanted. Somebody don't like this development, because in the 7th century, when they started, they had 3 options for you, for us. Either you become a Muslim, or you pay jizya, mean being a dhimmi, and if you cannot, then you have an option to Islamize, or you pay by giving your wife, giving your daughter, giving whatever it is possible for them to take land. And if not, run away or fight. And the only people who fought back then were the Maronites of Mount Lebanon. Those Aramaic Syriacs who left the shores of Syria up to the mountains and forming a force to defend themselves in the last stronghold in the region, which is Mount Lebanon. And this autonomous region started in Antioch in the north, all the way to Carmel Mountain. I don't know if you know, Osphia is called today in Israel, but where is Elijah has the place of fighting Baal, the gods of Baal. It's called Muhraka, and that's the region. And this autonomous region diminished within time because of the loss in wars against Islamic forces during the Abbasid dynasty. and they re-inhabited those towns that were still until today, by the way, it is called in Aramaic names. 95% of Lebanon towns, Syria, Iraq, Israel is in Aramaic and in ancient Hebrew. Until today. And we lost it, but they re-inhabited these towns with Arabic tribes from North Saudi Arabia and from South Iraq, some Shia, some Sunnis, and that's the change of demographies of the region. So they live in Aramaic towns, but the population is different. We have, in where I live, in my town, there's a town called Maroun al-Ras until today. It is called in front of us Maroun al-Ras, but who lives there? Shia. How come Shia? And why they didn't call it, for example, Ali al-Ras or Muhammad al-Ras? They call it Maroun al-Ras. Means the head of Maroun. So Maroun is Maronite. Why it's not called, for example, in a prophet name for them? Because we founded those towns. And we called it based on our people, language, and culture. And it's still until today, but we see the change of demography. And that's where, when the modern history of Israel, we know it today, as we know it today, was created, we saw the combination of two people of having same vision, the Jews with the Zionist movement to build a homeland for Jews who are persecuted in the world and in the region of the Middle East, in their forefathers' land, and Christians who want a homeland for them in Lebanon, as there has always been. And we saw that in the recommendation of United Nations Special Committee on Palestine, as we call it, UN scope. And this Palestine is not a people. It's a geographical land that was called as so by Adrianus to punish the Jews for their revolutions or their revolt against the Roman Empire. And those Philistines were the enemies of the Jews, were not Arabs and neither Muslims. They were Greeks who invaded the land and the shores of the Mediterranean in the south of it and resettled there, and they call this language Philistines. And you know what is the meaning in Aramaic and ancient Hebrew Philistines? It's from the word Polish. Polish means you invade a land that is not belong to you and you settle in it. It's called Plisha or Plishtin. That's it is. But they are definitely not Arabs and not Muslims. So, knowing these facts, we know that this land was inhabited by Jews and early Christians. And in 1920, when the Sykes-Picot Agreement was signed and French divided the mandate, got the mandate over Lebanon and Syria, and the British got over the rest of the Middle East, Israel of today, Jordan, Iraq, Egypt, we know that the French came to the Maronites of Lebanon, where they were forming the majority of Christians in that region, and they asked them, after all this genocide and suffer and massacres during the First World War, where Syriac Orthodox, our brothers, had saifo, means a genocide, means a sword, done by Ottoman Empire and Kurds back then. In 1915, 500 people of the Syrian Orthodox, the Arameans, were slaughtered. And in Mount Lebanon, we have an incident called Kafno in history, means the starvation policy. This starvation policy made the Maronites migrate and ethnic cleanse 1/3 of the community of Mount Lebanon, Christians, Maronites back then. So they came to them, the French, and asked, what do you want after all this stuff? They said, we want a Christian homeland protected by you. And the Arabs had a different plan. What the Arabs had with King Faisal, with Al-Hajj Amin al-Husseini, who was ally of the Nazis, they wanted the big Arab state with its capital in Damascus, and the patriarch had a different plan, which is disconnecting the geographical area of what we call it today Lebanon, with the majority of Christians of 90% at that time, from this majority of what we call the land of Aram before, or today it's called Syria, with a majority that became a Sunni Muslim world. Because if we still connected and have one under their state, we will live as dhimmis and we will suffer. So it's better to have a small state, live alone, live maybe with a few also Muslim Arabs. We will educate them to be Lebanese and accept the Lebanese identity and citizenship. And we will teach them, we will open schools for them, teach them how to become a good citizen in the new state, and they teach them to be liberal and moderate and whatever it is, to have a liberal citizenship as it is in the Western world. That's what the Christian mindset was. Unfortunately, we brought the language. We helped them with their Arabic language. We helped them with the schools. We educated them. We made for them music. We gave them theater. We gave them everything. And at the end, we are the enemies. They never accepted Lebanon. Why? Because who is heading the state? What was the state built on? A majority of Christians. And in the Constitution of 1943, said that the president will be always Maronite, a Christian. And there's another appeasement we did for them. The prime minister will be Sunni, and the head of parliament will be a Shia Muslim, hoping that they will find themselves part of this system and accept the new Lebanese identity. They never accepted that, and they kept working from within now to destroy this system. And they had a war in 1958, was the first Lebanese civil war, where Americans intervened and sent the Marines to stop this war. And it was a small war for 2 years. And in 1975, with Abdel Nasser, Jamal Abdel Nasser, the Egyptian president that wanted the Arab unity, and the Lebanese Christians said, we are not belong to that Arab unity. We have a Lebanese identity, not an Arab identity. The Muslims wanted to go with the Arab identity. The Christians said, we have nothing to do with that. And the Constitution is not saying we are an Arab state. So they sent the Palestinians from Jordan, who were revolting in Jordan against King Hussein back then. The Arab League said, no, that's good. You are not respecting the country that hosted you. You need to go to Lebanon and fight from there. There is okay. It's not an Arab country. You can fight from there, Israel, but not from here. Look at this hypocrisy. So they sent the Palestinian terrorists to fight from Lebanon. They start massacring the Christians in Lebanon. In 1976, they had a Damour massacre. In 1978, they have Al-Qa massacre, Aishiya massacres, and the Christians, they had no one to save them. You know who came to save the Christians of Lebanon? Israel. Israel, IDF, the Jewish people sacrificed their sons to save Christians of Lebanon. And if they didn't sacrifice, okay, they have interest also for their country, of course. But without their intervention, the Christians of Lebanon wouldn't exist today. And we intervened, and Arafat declared, I will liberate Jerusalem starting from Juni in north of Lebanon. I grew up at that era. I grew up, I was 6 years old. I was driving with my father, he was a policeman in Israel. I drove in a car with him and hearing the news. What I heard in the news back then, I heard IDF with the Christian Maronite forces fighting side by side against Palestinian terrorists. So as a Christian and Jews fighting together against one enemy, and those enemies sometimes you hear massacring Christians, and they are attacking Jewish communities with Katyusha missiles and rockets. What do you think as 6 years old I will think? When I grow, I understood that the Jews are not my enemies. The Jews fighting with us and saving us. And we are fighting side by side with them. So I understood when I become 18 that I want also, if I live here safely because of this state, I want to contribute to this state. I want to be part of this state. If I live in Sweden and Sweden allow me all this good life, I want to contribute to this Swedish state and make it good state and better state. So that's why I did the same thing. It's very natural. That's why I did it in Israel. That's what is Israel, my friends. And I become an officer in the paratroopers, and I led Jews. I was the one who giving them orders as a minority of 2% Christians of 180,000 Christians in Israel. I was among this minority that I gave orders to Jews, not the opposite. What apartheid are they talking about? Who believe this nonsense? Let them go and see how we live there. We have homes bigger than what, like Jews live in the cities, big cities with like maybe 70 square meter in Tel Aviv. I live in a home of 100 square meter or 180 square meter in my village. Huge homes, beautiful homes. Go to Arab homes in Nazareth and in other places in Israel and see how Arab lives. So where they like invent this propaganda and bring it, who can believe it? You just need to come and watch or just see the movies. Maybe someone need to go and make a short videos from those towns and spread it in your community and see how Arab lives in Israel. So if you live good and you are protected, that's why I defend Israel. That's why I encourage Christians to serve Israel and be part of Israel, and with all that also preserve their identity. Because without your identity, you will not understand. You will not understand why you should do it. Because you should understand the new generation now is not educated based on what happened in the past. You know that our Christian people in Israel are under Arab-Israeli curriculum. Under Arab-Israeli curriculum, we study Islamic history and Arabic language. And that's the big problem. We are disconnected from our roots because our leadership failed and fear and terrified from asking to have a Christian curriculum. Why? Because Arab reaction against them and maybe will attack them if they do so. And I can tell you a story from my personal experience, because myself, I led this movement and I became the first candidate for the parliament in Israel in 2015, advocating for the rights of Christians after achieving the 2014 Aramaic identity recognition, met Benjamin Netanyahu in 2013. I can tell you that, maybe I will show you one picture here before I go ahead. Here. Maybe. No? No? That is my meeting with Netanyahu in 2013, before the recognition of the Aramaic identity. And then I met Gideon Saar. He was interior minister, now he's a foreign minister. And we achieved this recognition, and 2014 I became the first candidate as a Christian for the parliament, advocating for my people's rights and in a positive way, and help them connect with Israel in a good way, and change the curriculum system too. And I went and I sat with all church religious leaders of the Catholic Church, the Orthodox Church, the Latin Roman Church. I asked them one question. We are receiving funding from Israel, but what we are not learning our identity. Why we don't change the system and request that we study Christian history and identity too? They said, we cannot do it this way, but what we will do with the reaction. I said, don't worry, you come with me to the meeting, I will set up the meeting in the Ministry of Education, and let's see what will happen. You agree on that? He says, yes, we agree. I set up appointment. We went to the Ministry of Education. We sat with the person who is in charge in this Ministry of Education to take the decision. And I presented the plan. And she asked them, do you agree to what Shadi said? And she went with, like we were 7 people. Everyone said, yes, 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 yes. I said, good, so we go, we have plan. And then the head of the committee of schools, he said, but we have one small request. He said, yes, what's the request? He said, please don't say that we requested that. You say that you imposed it on us. She said, no, 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 no. No, 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 no. I'm doing something good for you. Not for the media to come and say Israel is imposing something that the people don't want. You want? Send me a letter. Sign it, all of you, that you want this, and we will give it to you. Once you do it, we will go ahead with the plan, with your request, and we will take the decision and give it to you with budget, what you need. But you need to request it. That was the end. They afraid, they terrified from Arab reaction against them. That's exactly what and how Christians live in Middle East. That's why they don't speak also the truth with Israel and with the Jews, my friends. It's not what exactly they believe. It's not exactly what they think. Majority of Christians in the Middle East want to have a good relation with the Jews. They have nothing to do against the Jews. The problem is the fear from Islamic terrorism and Islamic groups that want to fight Israel, and everyone who stands with Israel is against them too. So you see it in Europe happening in Norway, in Sweden, in Europe. If someone from Swedes go and stand with the Jewish right to exist in Israel, he is also an enemy, and they want you to speak exactly only for their side. That's exactly one-to-one, exactly what's happening there. And they are exporting that. So here I want to move now, knowing this fact, I want to explain to you what is Islamic Brotherhood movement and what is Iran. Islamic Brotherhood movement was established in 1928 by Hassan al-Banna. Hassan al-Banna was Islamic scholar in Egypt, and he wanted to expand and export Islam to entire world based on the teaching from the 7th century. But they never, he said, we cannot do it only by ourselves as Islamic one movement. We should create different movements under that carry same strategy, same ideology, same teaching, same principles in different places under different names. But we will have the umbrella. We are the umbrella for it and fund it. So Hamas is part of it. Hamas is Islamic Brotherhood movement. And who is today countries that support this Islamic Brotherhood movement? Turkey, Qatar funding it, and other private donors and other Arab and Islamic countries too. So that's the Sunni side. And then we have Iran. Iran is another way of Islamic revolution that happened in 1979 in the Shia side. And the Shia and Sunni, they don't like each other, by the way. They are enemies of each other. Since the beginning of Islam, they fight each other. Okay? So, the Iranian now, also, they want to export Shia Islam. And the Arab, Saudi Arabia, afraid from Shia Islam that Iran will occupy one day Saudi and make Mecca and Medina the pillars of Islam, not Jerusalem, by the way, as a center for Shiism instead of Sunni world. So they feel threatened by Iran. But these two sides are radical sides. Sunni side in the Islamic Brotherhood movement, Shia side, and they all compete now on spreading and exporting their Islamic principles and movement to the world. And this radicalism or competition is actually spreading, making Islam spread fastly in Europe. Who will spread it more? And in Africa, and in Western societies. And in Europe, we have in the Parliament, European Parliament, legislation lately to define two organizations in EU that belong to the Islamic Brotherhood movement as terrorist organizations. One is called the Federation of Islamic organizations in Europe. It has different structures. And one is Organization of Human Sciences that teaching imams, indoctrinating imams in Europe. But that's how they operate, under different structures and hidden structures, until they become strong, until they are terrorizing the Europeans, and we can see it now. When they say globalizing the Intifada means globalizing Islam under the excuse of Palestinian cause. That's what it is. And here in Europe, people fall to this trap. They are deceiving people. And people believe them. Why do they believe them? You know why? Because Europeans are they have good heart based on our Judeo-Christian values. They are peaceful. They want peace. They want to see peace. And peace is advanced. And they think that these people, by victimizing themselves, oh, poor people, let's help them. So part of their deceivement is victimization model. Until they become strong. And once they become strong, they will treat you like they are treating the Christians of Lebanon. Lebanon is a model for you in Europe as how it was a Christian and become today failure country. and controlled by first Sunnis and now Shia organizations that are terrorizing Christians and not allowing even the government of Lebanon to make peace negotiations with Israel. So what they will end up? Having a different war now? Because you don't want in Hezbollah to speak and negotiate for peace deal? So you prefer to have another destruction for Lebanon? We don't want wars in Israel. To remember, just reminder for all of you, we don't want wars. We want to live in peace. But let us live in peace. And the Christians of Lebanon and Syria, believe me, the same thing. No one wants wars. War is just bring damage for everybody. But some people don't want wars because Iran is playing this game of building 7 fronts against Israel and want to wipe out Israel and annihilate Israel. And same thing, the Islamic Brotherhood movement. And we have no choice. So if you want to see what happens there as a model, it would be a good thing for you to save you in Sweden, to save you in Europe from this danger. It's a danger for Christian and Jews at the end, at the same thing, and it's even for atheists worse. You know why? Because in Islam, if you're not Christian and Jews, then you are a pagan, and in pagan, you don't have a third option. The pagans, atheists, they call them in Islam, you have, for example, Christian and Jews, you can either be Muslim or be a dhimmi and pay tax protection. Still, you are inferior in their country. But for atheists, you have no the second option. It's either you die or you become Muslim. That's it. You cannot pay even tax protection there. So it's threatening all Western societies. Doesn't matter what your background, atheist, Christian, Jew, whatever you are, Buddhist. If you are non-Muslim, in the eyes of those radical Muslims, and these radical groups, you are having no right to exist. You need either to adopt to their rules, and their rule, first of all, they want to dominate. And that's Israel. They will relax and calm down once they dominate Israel, and once they dominate Lebanon, and once they dominate the entire world, maybe they will relax. If not, they will keep fighting each other. So, any questions?
The one holding the microphone has to ask the first question, right? Thank you, Shadi.
I just want to show them one thing here. This is a program for Christian and Jews in the Galilee that we carry 7 months, as you see here. Both sides together, beautiful, smiling, training, studying, really very nice program for 7 months, and they become leaders in our society. And here is our Aramaic summer camp that we do every summer in our village. And you can see here, we educate those Christians, we invest on them from young age to become a good Israeli citizens and leaders in the society. It doesn't come by itself. You need to invest in youth. The youth are the future. And so we decide to invest in those youth. And we have many of these guys who become later on in the IDF and in different positions in the country, in very, very important, influential position. One of them is like co-pilot from here, and that become co-pilot. And I'm very proud that it is from our investment on them. And another one, he is in charge for the recruitment of Christians in the IDF. So he go, and every Christian who want to be recruited or he decide to recruit, he come and ask his advice. And And that's the achievement or the campaign of Aramaic registration that we achieved. Anyway, that's it. That's some groups that come to Israel here. And we do also lectures for, this is a Swiss group led by actually a Christian lady that brought it to us and learning about us and the Jews. I speak about Christians, and the Haredi guy, the Orthodox guy, speak about the Jewish faith for Christians too. So we explain to them what it is about. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Shadi. Thank you. So there are a lot of thoughts after this. When you started talking about the origin of the Arameans, and you spoke about Laban, and my father was a wandering Aramaic. That's true. We read it every Pesach, and we celebrate Pesach, the Jewish Passover. This week's parasha, this week's Torah portion in the synagogue, was when God speaks to Abraham and tells him, Lech lecha, to leave, to go. And in that parasha, in that portion, we also read about the king Melchizedek.
Melchizedek.
Yes. So which is interesting because in Hebrew, as you know, Melech, Tzedek.
Melchizedek.
Yes, and Tzedek,
Tzedek.
Tzaddik, righteous. It's
Yes.
a very interesting name. So another name for him is Shem. He's known under several names. So it's connected to what we talked about.
Yeah.
Now I'm supposed to ask a question, right?
Maybe.
So my question is about Lebanon and Syria.
Yes.
You have special connections, you know Lebanon, you know people in Lebanon, you know a lot about this. So my first question is, what will happen with Lebanon? What is there a way to have a positive future for Lebanon despite what's happening? Is there hope? Would be good for you, for Christians from Lebanon, and also for Israel, of course. And is there something you could say about Syria as well? What do you know about the situation there? There's a lot of talk about this new leader, which some say is an Islamist in a nice suit and a nicer beard. But still, what can you say about these things?
It's a good question and hard question. I'm not a prophet, but I anticipate things. And based on my feeling that there's a good moment now in Middle East that people are sick of wars and want a change. And hopefully the radical groups will be weakened by this moment that other nations are collaborating together for this making peace, finally. We have at least United States and also with their allies in Europe pushing for it too. And we have Israel as ally of the United States now, also want this peace. But there are some still groups like Hezbollah and Hamas that are not willing to, let's say, to give up. And these groups are Iranian proxies at the end, or they are having common goals of annihilating Israel, and it's not easy to get rid of them, and they will not submit for the new, let's say, plan of peace. So in Lebanon, if Hezbollah will continue being stubborn and not giving up their weapon and disarm their weapon to the state, as was the agreement in November 24, then Israel has no choice because the agreement is clear. They gave the Lebanese government an opportunity to disarm Hezbollah until the end of this year. And the United States is following up with this agreement. And Israel is still has the right to eliminate those terrorists who are trying to rebuild the army or the military force of Hezbollah in Lebanon, breaching the agreement. So we are watching and waiting. But if they don't disarm, we will not allow them to build up again this terror group in our borders and threaten our communities. If I just tell you something, I live 3 kilometers from the border. If Hezbollah was, like, because of miscalculation, he didn't do it. Thank God. Because if he was opening the war in October 7 together with Hamas, we would be in a different scenario today in Israel. And I don't know if I will be speaking to you today. Because our community is 3 kilometers, they will take it over, and they were maybe ready to take over all the way to Haifa region and Tiberias region. Most of the Galilee region will be taken by them, and the scenario was talking about 200 to 300,000 terrorists infiltrating northern borders from Lebanon all the way to Afghanistan. Fighters from all different groups will come and invade Israel. And then they will be taking bases, taking ammunition, strategic points, and fighting in forests in the north. It's not like a desert that you can see and hide. It would be so difficult. So we will not allow this scenario again. We were peaceful 18 years looking at them. And we say, no, we will reach peace, and then this will end. We didn't reach peace. We reached genocide in October 7. They massacred our communities. They planned to annihilate the state of Israel together with Iran, building 7 front, one of them Hezbollah. So if they don't disarm, I think at the end the international community will tell Israel, go ahead, or they will put Lebanon under the Section 7 of international UN. And Section 7 means international force will come and rule Lebanon until they set up a new system in Lebanon. Hamas, it's in the way already, but Israel will not allow other Islamic group to prosper in the south and neither in the north. And that's, you already know what that means. Not allowing means we will keep watching and hitting everyone who will threaten our citizens, and not allowing this to happen again and have another genocide.
Thank you, Shadi. Someone had, I think you were first, and then you were.
Hello, can you hear me? Yeah, thank you. First of all, I want to thank you for your service to the state of Israel. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Ah, okay. He wants me to go up on the stage. Okay. I know there are different Christian groups in Israel. There's also a Christian group that call themselves Palestinian, and I'm not sure which. Someone said they were Catholic. Can you explain the difference between the different Christian groups in Israel? And some of them define themselves as Palestinian and have even fought against Israel in the past, like you have the PFLP and so on, Christians. So please explain that.
Okay. First of all, Christians who explain them about them or talk about them Palestinians. Let me tell you that this concept of called Palestinians didn't exist until 1967. People were calling themselves Arabs. Even under Jordanian regime in 1967, Judea Samaria, they could have a Palestinian state if they were Palestinians. But they were okay with being Arabs under Jordanian because they are Arabs like them. So it was Islamic regime. No reason to fight and create Palestinian cause. And they were happy, but once Israel fought against Jordan with other 4 fronts and they won and controlled Judea and Samaria, all of a sudden they created this Palestinian cause now again. And those Christians living there are 35,000 people in the Palestinian Authority. And they belong to the Greek Orthodox Church and Greek Catholic maybe a little bit, but Greek Orthodox are the majority there. Now, living under Palestinian Authority as well, and under Jordanian, having a Jordanian background or influence, they call themselves Palestinians. They are not Israeli citizens. They are not carrying Israeli IDs. We are 180,000 people in Israel, and we are also belonging to Maronite Church, Syriac Orthodox Church, Greek Orthodox Church, Greek Catholic Church, Roman Catholic Church, and we did a census among our people in Galilee, and we asked in different communities. I sent a Jewish lady from Iowa. She's doing a master. She told me, I want to do a master about your Christian communities in Israel and see their views. I said, okay, I will give you. I have a block of 10,000 Christians following me as a candidate for the parliament. I said, I know everyone there. You go and you check. So I connected her with different people, and they helped her in their towns in the Galilee. People were complaining, having problems. I have this, I like that. And they said, at the end, she asked them one question. Okay, you have problems. These problems exist everywhere in any democracy, by the way. Same. Do you prefer bring now Arab regime control Israel instead, and you stay in your homes, in your lands, wherever you are, and take away this Jewish regime? What do you prefer? No, we want Jewish regime. He said, why? The answer was, because when it is Jewish regime, it's democracy. When it's Arab regime, it's theocracy, it's kingdom, it's dictatorship, no rights, no human rights, no nothing, no respect to people that are different than them. So they said, we want Jewish regime, Jewish Israel, democracy. That's the answer for all Christians in Israel, 99%. So those Christians who are in the West Bank call themselves Palestinian Christians. Most of Christians in Israel, they will tell you, I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian. And I'm Israeli citizen. And some today, because we are educated not in the system, they call themselves Palestinian Christian, yes. But originally, they are like us, Arameans. But they don't know their roots, unfortunately. You know, there's a very short sentence that I'm saying. If you disconnect people from their roots and disconnect them from their language and from their identity, then you can come and tell them that they are Swedes and they will believe. Even if they don't look like Swedes.
Should have invited Tarek Taylor tonight.
Oh, I think so.
You should have heard this.
Thank you very much. I want to ask you, is there a word in Armenian, osher? Osher, do you have it in Arabic?
Osher? You can ask, I don't remember there is Osher.
Anyhow, that's happiness.
Yes, I know what is happening.
Yes,
happiness.
and I think you bring that, so I want to thank you. And I don't want to ask you something, I want to tell you something. You remind me of my aunt. My aunt, in 1950, 1955, she grounded the same as you, a Jewish school in Stockholm, together with other people, and a kindergarten. And this place is actually the same as you are building. This is the house, and here is the Jewish school and the Jewish kindergarten. And before, in the 1960s, it was another place here, a community, and that we should keep the Hebrew. Yeah, so we are here, and but some of your people coming not knowing where we are. So this is actually the same as your this house.
I want to tell you thank you for having this place and taking care of it. And please continue to preserve your identity, language, and faith, because this also gives us strength. And this actually inspiration for us. And that's what Samir is doing here. Samir Erhawi is building an Aramaic school, and believe me, we take inspiration from you.
Wow.
Thank you. More questions? Yes, Magnus.
You want me to step up to the table? Yeah, I'm kind of intrigued about what you said about the educational efforts here, making a difference between Christian education, as you call it, and just not only just Arab. And what is your assessment about that? You think you're going to pull it off? Or is there still too much of a pushback?
I tell you what's the plan. I
don't
don't
know.
know. They are taking videos, so they will know everything now, all the strategies that I will try to not expose all my strategies to make this happen, but I am doing a lot of work that we at the end will implement this plan of having Christian education curriculum in Israel. This will happen. And this will happen because we have the Aramaic recognition as a people. And when you are recognized as a people, you can build a town, you can have your education system, and you can have other things in Israel. So the Aramaic identity is also saving Christian people having their own education system.
So you're optimistic?
I'm optimistic because I know something. So, in a few weeks you will hear one of it already. Be happy. I am happy, I am optimistic. I'm always optimistic, by the way, because I'm in Israel. If I was not in Israel, I wouldn't be optimistic.
Very good. We have to be optimists. More questions? We have more time.
I have a question.
Yes, Eli.
Yes.
Eli.
I can ask him in Hebrew. Do you believe really there will be one day in future peace between the Muslims and the other communities?
First of all, who let you enter here?
Thank you very much.
I had it today. Today I had a joke with him. You know, he called Ulf called him actually, and Ulf gave me the phone, and I was speaking with him. I said, look, you're not allowed to come in. I'm from the security. I am not allowing you to get in. I have bad news for you. No way. I will enter. I will call my people now. I said, hey, Eddie, it's me. Don't call anyone. So it was like, a joke. So Eddie, look, Eddie visited me like 3 weeks ago in Israel and in the Galilee, and we had lunch together with him and his son, and that's the life in Israel, where we and the Jews, and even Arab and Jews, sit together, work together based on individual level. Where is the problem? The problem is with the radical ones. The radical ones who lead the Muslim societies toward fanaticism and toward non-accepting other faith and other people existence. That's where the problem is. Not in the individual level. Okay? And so if those individuals unite, that Arabs want to live peacefully and unite for this cause and defend this cause, we might find a peace. But if they don't unite and they keep those radicals leading them, then we have no choice other than defending ourselves.
But we didn't have peace for 1400 years. How come we're going to have it?
So you have the answer. So why I should answer you if you already know it?
In all fairness, Eli, he said he's no prophet. We can't expect a miracle here.
Because we know what's happening in Sweden. We know that everybody talking about peace, which never happened. And only Oslo, the 17 and agreement with Egypt and etc. etc. So and Oslo agreement and so on. So it never happened.
Oh.
And this
So
is
you're not optimistic.
no.
I heard some analysts or experts on the Middle East saying it's better in Swedish. Försiktig pessimist. Annars säger jag är försiktigt optimistisk. När det gäller Mellanöstern säger man försiktigt pessimistisk. Be careful pessimist. Sort of optimist now regarding Middle East, you're maybe a little pessimist. I don't know. Look at it in different ways. It's 8:30 and a little more. We've been here a long time, but one more last question before. Yes, Christian. Sounds like I know everyone here, but it's not quite true. But
one question about. The people in Israel. I have thought that, it's as if here, you can say there are three native people in Israel: Jews, and Aramaic, and Samarian. And you can call natives. That is actually European. You can call all the three native to.
I didn't understand the question.
You didn't understand the
I
question.
know about native. You said Aramaic and Samaritans are natives.
Yes, and Jews.
And Jews.
Yeah, to
Okay.
Israel.
Yeah.
That's that they have been only many thousands of years. Yeah. Can you say officially that? Probably we would over, but they have three.
Yeah, maybe in Swedish and you can.
Yeah.
so the question is, would you agree to the statement that there are three indigenous people in Israel? The Jews, Sumerians,
Yes.
and the Aramaic people. That was the question.
What a sight.
Wow.
Look, native people in the Middle East, in the Levant, let's call it. In the Levant, there are native people that we call Aramaic people, which is the Jewish part actually of this. We call it tree of Aramaic culture, and Jews are Israelites. We know where are the geographical area of it. And we have the Samaritans that were still, in Samaria, and also they are connected to Jewish people, and we know the book of the Samaritans, where they pray, and they have also existed since Jesus' time. And the Arabs were nomadic people, and in Aramaic, the word Arab, it comes from Arava, or Arba. Arba means, Arava in Hebrew, means desert. And when you say Arab, it's the people of the desert. So the desert is basically not the Levant. The desert is down in the south, in Arabia, in the Arab Peninsula. And that's why it is called the Arab Peninsula, and they are the natives of that land. I am not, as Arameans, the native of that land. But they are. In the Levant, we are the natives, and You are right. They are the colonizers.
That's not what he said, but okay. Okay, so I think with this, I think we'll end the meeting. So let me remind you, if I can make this work. No, I don't need this. Yes, maybe.
I have a last question, if it's possible.
Yes.
We are seeing the Western societies, they adopt the view of the Palestinians a lot. How can we change that? What should we do?
First of all, it's important that we also influence Western societies. It's another media battle that we carry here. And but the change, unfortunately, societies change based on education and based on victimization. So if you remember Israel, when it was weak and it was attacked by 4 or 5 Arab countries, the Western societies were with Israel. October 7, they were with Israel. At the beginning, everybody denied, the atrocities, and they were against those atrocities and siding with Israel. And few weeks after, when Israel started acting and responding, all of a sudden, they are forget all this. They have short memory and they become now against Israel. So changing this, first of all, we need a lot of exposure, education, and keep telling the truth. At the end, the truth will prevail. And as we know, at least me as a Christian, I know, if I speak the truth will set me free. And this truth will win. And if I continue and insist and in a consistent way, I will expose the truth, and Israel will be, look, again, the good force in this world that also protecting Europe and protecting Western societies from the same danger and threat. We are actually having the same cause. Slowly, slowly, believe me, we have a saying in Hebrew. We say, Mlechet tzadikim b'yedei achirim. Means those fanatics will do the job for you. Unfortunately, I say it sadly, but those fanatic radical Islamic groups will do the job, and they will expose themselves how bad they are and how Israel is the good force in this world. It's time.
Actually, a perfect final question, and a good way to finish the evening with something positive. Truth will prevail. So, talking about MIFF. So, I have to say, we're doing our part. We're trying to do what we can to help truth prevail. So, I would just like to finish with saying, follow us on our podcast on YouTube and Spotify. Don't forget to look at our website and our social media. We update every day. You will find truth and facts there. That's the way to start. I would also like to urge you to help me not have to carry home all the books I wrote. So, buy these very good books. They are very important, informative, and full of facts. This is how Jews in Sweden experience life here after October 7. It's very important that all of you who don't know this get to know it. Very, very important.
I agree. I am one of those who dared to say their name.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important, and I think that this book should be read everywhere.
Yeah.
Really.
So there are 50 people, about 50 people in the book, and many of them wanted to be anonymous because this is life in Sweden now. And this is more of a fact book about Israel. Very good to know if you have people you need to debate with, Could be people at work, could be neighbors, could be family or friends. You have facts there, very easily accessible. So with this, I think I will finish. There's something to drink this time. Last time I didn't do a very good job. Now it's here. Please use it. Something to drink and some cakes or something. And with this, I think we'll finish the evening. We will have no more meetings before the end of the year, but we will have new activities early next year in January, mid-end of January.
Thank you for coming here. And thanks to everyone.